Okay, so last we left off, Louis saved a stripper in the back alley market. So we are on chapter 65, the value of non-existent genes. So, non-existent genes. Clearly a Louis-centric chapter. I don't know why they spell. I think that's just the pronunciation in Japanese. I think what L's are almost non-existent, I believe. So they pronounce L's as R's. I could be completely wrong. I'm not a linguist, but I call him Louis, not Rui. I believe that's the pronunciation anyway. So anyway, let's just jump into it. Who is the owner of these masculine antlers? His antlers do look dope though. I like how they like curl like in. He does really have a nice pair of antlers. Oh, this is his dad. Is this the first time that we're seeing him? No, no, it's the second time that we're seeing him. The first time that we saw he's only 46, leader of the Horns conglomerate. He's so young. That's pretty nuts to think about. He's really young. Well, at least this is young to me. I don't necessarily think 30 is old at all. 40 is still young to me. I'd say if you're pushing 60, well, at least 50, like in your 50s, then I really consider like you're getting old at 50. And then 60, that's old to me. 60 is old to me, but 46, that's so young. And as we know, Oguma is unable to have kids. That's one of the reasons why he adopted Louis from the back alley market, because Louis was being sold as essentially livestock to carnivores who would pay a handsome sum of money to eat, live game. And he was a kid when they were doing this. So I think I understand the title now. This chapter is obviously Louis centric. The value of non existent genes is in reference to how he's not really related to his father, adopted father, you know? So let's see how their relationship plays out, because this is, one of the first times we get to see them interact with each other like this. Don't you think it's a little late to act this way? You've reached your rebellious phase at 18 years. What's this? It's a leave form. Okay, so this is a flashback of what he had to do to leave the school, I believe. The following student will be dropping out of Cherryton School. Student's name, Louis. Okay. I know it says Lewis right here, but I say Louis because when I read this, there are like two pronunciations I know of it. It's Louise when I think of Louisiana, right? But when I read this, I think Louis as in Louis Vuitton, like that. So I pronounce it as Louis. So that's just me. Father, I'm not being rebellious. The time has finally come. We're going to end our fake familial relations. Okay, so he wants him to sign that form. There are no falsehoods in what we've discussed. Kindly sign the form. Kindly sign that leave form. I'm sure you understand. I can grow up to be a cogwheel to your business. I wonder what the relationship was like. Because, to be honest, Oguma didn't seem like, from what, just from the small snippets we've seen of him, I don't imagine him as like an abusive father or anything. Because the speech he gave to Louis was actually quite inspirational. Because I'd imagine him, he's a businessman, first and foremost. He's the leader of a horns conglomerate, so I bet he has one of those type A personalities where he doesn't really express much, I suppose. So we'll see. That's just my feeling because, to be quite honest, he just looks familiar. And it's funny what you can gather, the information you can gather just from a glance at a character and kind of relate it to your own experiences, I guess. So that's interesting. I absolutely love his character, his character model. Even though they're not like blood related, they share like similar antlers. But for all I know, these antlers can actually be fake because as we know, it's been established. Louis, whenever he sheds his antlers, he gets a fake pair, so he could have these specifically made just for him. Who knows? Okay, so it's been 13 years since I bought you for 7 million yen. Unfortunately, that money has gone to waste. Okay, so my bad. So Louis thinks he was a waste of money. Louis said, unfortunately, that money has gone to waste. So Louis throwing away his aspirations. Well, I wouldn't even say those were his aspirations to begin with, because it was Oguma's aspirations for Louis to take over as his son and run his business and become the Beast Star, right? But think about it like this: it wasn't. Well, I don't know if they're gonna say it, but that's a becoming the Beast Star in their society. That's actually a really noble aspiration. Come to think of it, we haven't freaking even seen a Beast Star yet. We know of the Beast Star, but we don't, and we know there are many Beast Stars, but we haven't really seen the Beast Star, you know? So anyway, that's actually quite a noble aspiration, and I don't think it came from a place of vanity, like him just wanting to, like, what do you call it? Just establish his own empire like more and more. It just didn't seem that way because of how he was talking to Kid Louis right before he was going to take his own life, in an act of defiance. That's always been in Louis's character, even as he grew up. Because Louis is one of those characters. He's one of those character archetypes that I absolutely love. I call him the suffering. What's it called? The suffering like protagonist, right? Because he's very much a secondary not antagonist. He's very much a secondary protagonist, a deuteragonist, right next to Legacy. I think I said before, he is he is the protagonist of the manga that we just missed, right? You can write a separate like story just with Louis' backstory alone, leading up to the high school arc for when he hands the baton over to Legacy. But Louis still working through his own arc, so that's interesting to see here. All right. When I dragged you out of the place that raised you as livestock, I was wondering what you were thinking while you clung to my hand. I remember it well. The winter morning sky was so unbelievably clear. I thought it was the perfect day for you to see the outside world. Yep, this is the first time Louis's been outside. I never showed it, but I was happy for you. I thought you would end our relationship without any bit of empathy, Louis thinks to himself. Oh god, this is... Okay, I'm gonna say it right now, like, I'm getting the feeling already, just Oguma, just how he carries himself, he's very proud, he's very prideful. He has a lot of, he has a lot of elegance, and grace in the way in which he carries himself, which is befitting of a leader such as him, right? In other words, I'm trying to say he's daddy as fuck. And those glasses, killing it. But yeah, so I get the sense that he doesn't. He reminds me of mine, but I get the feeling he doesn't show it a lot, which is why Louis feels so pressured, like all the time, to like win his approval, right? Improve himself. But I lost my train of thought. I'm moving on. You should be treating me like trash now that I'm no use to you anymore. You're not the type of person who can show affection. Okay, I picked up my train of thought, but he loves Louis regardless. Because he doesn't give me the impression that he's like a super strict like parent. He's gonna let Louis. He understands. He's gonna let Louis make his own choices in life. If that's what he really wants to do. Just I don't know. I'm just getting that impression. From a guy who I don't know. That's just the impression I have. Let's see what he says. And Louis, he doesn't know how to handle this right now. He came into this with the expectation that Oguma was going to say some harsh words to him and officially disown him and pretty much validate how Louis feels about himself, but he's clearly not doing that, right? Oguma's no slouch, right? That's the impression that I'm getting. Because think of it like this: as soon as they walked into a room, I get the feeling I've seen this before. I believe I've experienced it before. He's treating this as a business meeting. All right, Louis is always the one that's been in control. Compare and contrast to how we first met Louis. This is how we met Louis. Louis was, let's see, do we show it? Louis was in this position right here. Think about when Legacy first met Louis. This was Louis. The positions were switched, right? And if this is a business domain, he just had this is essentially a contract, yeah? In this domain, this is where Oguma rules, right? And Louis what? I believe he's like what, 18? He's 18 years too young to be in the ring with Oguma, leader of the Horns conglomerate. He's the king in this domain, and Louis is just the young buck. So let's see how this plays out, because if this is a business deal, Louis doesn't have a chance. Let's see if he shows him who daddy is. Let's see. Alright, we've only seen each other once a month during dinner. I couldn't tell if your thin eyes ever met my own. I could never tell what you're thinking. Father, I've already told you I'm the boss of the Shishigumi. I won't hesitate to use force to settle a deal. Even so, I've always admired you. It's over. Sign the form now. Okay, so we're seeing that crazy psycho Louis, right? I won't bother you anymore. I've always been a part of the back alley market since the day I was born. Okay, look at. All right, he's completely in control. Even when they're memories. He reminds. The similarities are there. Okay, so I could just based off my own experiences, right? There's a lot of familiarity in this scene right here. I can kind of understand, not really understand. I can kind of guess how Oguma thinks about these things. This is his son, right? And I have no reason to believe otherwise that Oguma doesn't view him as his son, even though they aren't blood, right? Because this was the choice Oguma made, right? And he's completely in control. He's like, he's throwing a tantrum again. Oguma's not really having any of it. He's completely unfazed, right? Just because he brought a gun here and is essentially just threatening his life right now. He's like, it's just another day at work. My children, my child, you know? So, this isn't leverage to him whatsoever. That's the impression that I'm getting. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see what else happens. I can't change the blood in my veins. I'm going back to where I need to be. So he's in his head, shouting at him, please, please, because he doesn't want to kill him. I know you aren't a normal buck. I chose you knowing that. I find your reckless tendencies to be irresistible. Okay, so he's loving this. Probably reminds him of a young him. I wonder how he ended up infertile. Or maybe it's just a genetic condition he was born with. I don't know. But, shoot, maybe he should get his own his own anime. So I don't know. I mean his own manga, I don't know, a short story maybe. Okay, so this is as I said before, Oguma is unfazed. He doesn't care for any of this. This is just his son lashing out, being a teenager, and really that is what it is. Louis has been an unstable character since we've met him, and it's shit like this, Oguma's uncaring attitude, that kind of puts him in situations where he acts like this. And I get the feeling that this is quite uncommon for Louis to act like this, but it's not foreign to him just because of how he responds to this. He understands that Louis is reckless because of his upbringing, you know? And he's never And as Louis said, he's not really the expressive type. So that, with the lack of a mother figure as well, because as far as I know, he's not married. I believe it was established he wasn't married, or maybe I'm misreading that. I remember Louis was, he has a fiance, so I'm not sure about Oguma. I just know he didn't have kids. So it doesn't seem, no, because I believe the mother would have been shown here, because there's only two chairs here, notice that? So it's just him and Louis. So I guess that's what not having like a mother figure, someone you can connect with on an emotional level, would do to a child, especially someone with Louis's backstory. So it makes perfect sense why the dynamic would be this way. At age 5, you chose to take your own life rather than to be eaten alive by carnivores. At age 18, you become the new boss of the Shishigumi, and now you're trying to cut ties with me using force? Your actions are foolish, but very convincing. I expect nothing less from the star of the drama club. Oof, he doesn't even care. But at the same time, this he still this is a flashback from that time when Louis almost took his own life. He still sees the conviction in Louis that he showed then. Do I think Louis would really shoot him? Perhaps, but I'm gonna say no because notice the hesitation. He doesn't want to do it, right? So there's clearly some love in there for him, right? He wouldn't kill him for the wrong reasons. I have confidence to say Louis wouldn't do it. And Oguma knows this. Let's see. You've never gone to one of my plays. Don't say irresponsible nonsense like that. Oh, so he's not even seen the plays. But I'm pretty sure he's one of those quietly proud dads that reads like the newspaper and keeps like clippings of his son's accomplishments. I bet he's that type of dad. I just get that impression. Like he speaks with I'm pretty sure he speaks with like weird actions instead of words, like words of affirmation. He does not seem like the words of affirmation type. Oh man. It's just so familiar. Like for instance, my own dad, like my dad, I'm just small, you know, getting personable, but he like I can understand where Louis is coming from because I could never tell if my dad was like mad at me or proud of me whenever I did something, and I had a lot of accomplishments, mind you. Like if I think he's mad, he'd end up getting me like a new like a present or something. If I think he's happy, like I don't know, it was just weird. Relationships weird like that. I don't know. Anyway. I bought you with money. For all the years you've been my son, I've never known you to express your affection. But now, as I touch the muzzle of your gun, I feel very comfortable knowing how you've felt for the past 13 years. I could refuse to sign the form and you could shoot me. I wouldn't mind leaving the world as a business leader who killed himself from despair of his son's delinquency. What do you think, my son? Okay, called it. So, yeah, Louis is in his domain, right? So even if he does kill him, that doesn't mean Louis gets he Oguma is the type that's gonna get the final word regardless. If he dies, he's just gonna spin that into a story that suits him, right? To protect Louis, essentially, right? Because notice how this he doesn't even bring up like he doesn't notice how he frames this story. Killed himself from the despair of his son's delinquency. He doesn't even bring up like the company or whatever, you know? And this is very Louis centric. A business leader who killed himself from the despair of his son's delinquency. Right? Who kills himself, not was killed. Who kills himself. So even if he dies, he's gonna shield Louis. So he doesn't straight up say it, but I think his wording is very telling of his character and how he views Louis. So there's some respect there. He respects his conviction. And the leave form, what'd he do? outgoing student. Okay, so he did sign it, but taking instead of the leave being permanent, he actually changed it to absence. Oh, and by the way, you can actually do this with contracts. Like, say if you're in a business setting, anything that you don't agree with inside of a contract, you cross that out. You can cross that out, and then have them make amendments to a contract to essentially change the meaning of the contract. You can actually do this. So yeah, they signed off on it. So I was supposed to, teachers and whatnot agreed with Louis taking a leave. Well, an absence from school for a while. So he even crossed out he's not dropping out. So he just said Louis will be taking a temporary leave of absence. So yeah, the value of education. So all that to Oguma was just a business deal. It was just business to him. He changed leave to absence. I just can't read him. Hey, wow, you really showed up. Oh, it's Cosmo, okay. Just this once. I respect you as a herbivore, but I have no intention of being familiar with you. I get that. Then I'll just make this last. Hey, boss. I want two 100% vegetable juices. Hmm? It's okay. This is the only bar in the back alley market that serves vegetable juice. The boss has empathy for herbivores. Oh, even though that's pretty cool. He's a crocodile. But he's like, herbivores have needs too, so they're my customers, so their needs should be met. So that's really cool. My best, oh, the crocodile says, my best friend was a guinea pig. So that's where he got his empathy. Okay, so that's cool. Small stuff like this. He said his best friend was a guinea pig. Was a guinea pig. Mind you, I don't know if there's a dark undertone to that. If his best friend isn't around anymore. He's not saying my best friend is a guinea pig. He's saying my best friend was a guinea pig. Did he eat him? Is that what happened? I hope not, or was he eaten? These are the questions. But anyway, I'm just reading too much into it. But that's just kind of fun to think about. But just because it's kind of looked down upon that you're friends with a member of the opposite species or whatever, doesn't mean you can't have empathy for them and even see to their needs. And this is coming from a carnivore, from a carnivore to a herbivore. Anyway, you'll enjoy the root crops in this drink. Hmm, I bet that is good. Wasn't Louis taking I think he was throwing a fit about eating a salad or something before, right? So I'm pretty sure he eats that stuff in his free time because what's his name? Ibuki's taking care of him. But I bet he's gonna really enjoy this. Let's see. So good. Yep. You don't seem used to being here. I've lived in the back alley market for 8 years and I'm prepared to be buried here. That's always been true ever since I became a stripper here. But in the end, this is heaven for carnivores and hell for herbivores. You're still young, aren't you? Okay, that's an interesting perspective because I can. Their society sucks for carnivores, but at the same time, you can kind of understand it because if carnivores had their way around the city, the entire city would be like the back alley market where herbivores would be scared for their life. And mind you, they are the um the majority in the city, right? Where carnivores are considered the minority. So that's interesting to think about in that perspective. But then again, the only reason why that is because how like constricted society is in general. So I don't know. There are two sides to the argument here. I hope it gets fleshed out. I love seeing chapters where we just get another side to the story here and see how it really is under it all. This is the only chance you'll have to get out of here. Put that on my tab, boss. Be careful on your way home. Love the crocodile. But did he eat that guinea pig? I have to know. Louis, you're going to come back. So what Oguma said to Louis. He says you're going to come back. Such a he's such a boss, that Oguma. He signed the form, but he signed it on his terms. You're going back to school. You're getting your education. You're just going through a phase. I bet that's what that was. That's how he was thinking of it. Your delinquency won't be enough to destroy the Horn's conglomerate. Learn the world around you and come back once you're strong enough to pull the trigger. Daddy as fuck. Yep. Whatever. I can't escape him. And I can't return to him either. So he's returning to the Shishigumi. Boss. Fortunate or not, I still have these guys with me. I want to return to the hideout. Oh, well, want to return to the hideout? Ibuki asks that. He's like, yeah. I really respect Oguma as a character. Man, I don't know if I've been spoiled by like different like manga and anime, but he's pretty reasonable like as a character. Oguma, like his responses to Louis and his shenanigans has been quite reasonable. They've been very controlled, just like a businessman would, right? Just like a leader would. This is who Louis looks up to, right? This is who Louis is trying so hard to be, and that's the source of his stress, right? The expectation of living up to Oguma's legacy. This is the man Louis is aspiring to be, and those are steep stairs to climb. But that's the thing, though. Louis doesn't have to be Oguma. Like in any coming of age story, mind you, Legosi's going through his own thing, and Louis is very much still going through his own thing as well. But there's that phase of self-discovery where you find out you don't have to be like cut from the same cloth. You don't necessarily have to be 100% truly 100% be your hero. You can be your own person, and that can be okay. But it's hard to see yourself being anything other than who you are. That's, you know, that's part of the story. That's part of the process of getting there, and I'm very curious to see how Louis gets there on his own. So anyway, continuing. Oh, this is a wonderful scene. So Louis went from a place of vulnerability to a place of comfort now. Notice how comfortable he is with his boys. He's pretty much the godfather of the back alley market now. Speaking of, this reminds me of the scene of one of the scenes in The Godfather where Vito Corleone is walking through the city and he's just getting a bunch of respect from, everyone he meets. It also reminds me of that episode that The Simpsons parodied where Homer was doing the same thing and he got offered like free donuts. That's a good donut. Molto bene. Shh, shh, shh. Light in the darkness is more radiant. So that's how he views himself, because it's short-lived. That's exactly how Louis views himself right now. This is a really good scene. He has his whole entourage behind him. Jacket draped over his shoulders. The new Shishigumi is the best. Shishigumi. So these are the people, and this is public perception of the Shishigumi now ever since the change in leadership. I've decided to stay here. Are you sure? Interesting. Okay, so if this is where Louis is most comfortable and he's kind of resigning himself to it, he's going to be challenged. Of course, he can't stay there because the plot demands that he move forward, right? Louis doesn't get that luxury, so he's going to be challenged. So I'm curious as to see when he's going to meet Legosi again, because we know Legosi's in the back alley market. He's going to and from, what's his name? Gyoing's place. So eventually they're gonna have to meet. So sooner rather than later. Is that a fox? Boy, if you're gonna help a lost child, then don't in the middle of the alley. Who sent that? Free sent that to get out of the way. Free still talking. Oh, okay. Oh my god, I forgot. Legacy got I got fooled. Okay, so Legacy got his fur shaved. I forgot Going did that. Going shaved his fur so he wouldn't be recognized in the back alley market because he killed the Shishigumi boss. So these lions should know who he is if they were to recognize him. So that's Oh, this is a weird situation to be in. So that's Legacy. Okay. An encounter with Legacy in the back alley market to be continued in the next issue. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so this is this is one of their first reunions in a long time. Let's see how this goes. This is gonna be wow, I can't wait. Wow. Okay, so that was chapter 65. Had a lot of fun. If you like it, comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. If I missed something that you want me to talk about, let me know it. I will see you during chapter 66. Alright, bye now.